these are probably the scariest looking pigs
Oh my gosh.
on the planet, and certainly not creatures that we ever intended to actually film. The bearded pigs of Borneo. This episode of Becoming Brave is brought to you by Summit Adventure Fuel. Unlock your next adventure and get there. All right, welcome back to the Becoming Brave podcast, everybody. I'm your host, Mark Vins, joined today again by Andrew and Asa. I feel like we are the podcast now. We are still working on booking our first guest. We've been doing a lot of tweaking, a little tinkering with this podcast. Instead of trying to get it perfect, we really just wanted to get started. So for everyone who's been watching all along, what episode are we on, Asa?
This will be 13 or 14.
Yeah.
Wow. I think this is 14.
Right. So there's two schools of thought. Whenever you create something new, it's you develop it in the shadows and then you perfect it and reveal it, which there are times that we like to do that. But then there are times where you should just get going.
Yeah.
And whoever joins early, they get to be part of that evolution experience. So whoever's watching or listening to this early on, we really appreciate it. And thanks for sticking with us. But we are going to be having guests, hopefully in the near future. But you guys have become the core. This is going to be, I would say, the standard podcast discussion. Myself, Andrew, and Asa, at least for the foreseeable future. So guys, welcome back. How are you doing?
Good.
Fantastic.
Always happy to be here. Always happy to discuss the adventures from the perspective behind the camera,
Yeah, and we're trying to make it a little more timely. We're trying. So in today's video, we're going to talk about the latest Brave Wilderness release. I don't know if it's going to time up perfectly, but it should be close. Should be like last weekend's release.
Yep.
Right.
One or two off. It's going to be 3 days after release.
Okay.
So
there you go. So the video that we are going to be dissecting or unpacking, again, is that the Gen Z term? We're unpacking it, right?
I like it.
feel like that's
pretty universal.
That's been around.
Not in my day.
You're revealing your age, Mark.
Dissecting.
Dissecting.
Deep dive. I think that was ours.
Yeah.
You guys are definitely in the unpacking of it all.
Or reacting.
Reacting.
Yeah.
We'll unpack it.
Reacting is actually, I would say, a millennial term because it came up with a rise of 2007 to 2016 type content. I feel like reacting is kind of past a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think reacting is definitely a YouTube thing.
Mm-hmm.
It started on YouTube
For sure.
but we are going to be unpacking, reacting / dissecting / deep diving into the latest Brave Wilderness video, at least for today's time, is going to be the bearded pigs of Borneo, which I got to say, if you haven't seen the video yet, you should definitely watch it after this. We'll put the link in the description. But we should also start by saying that these are probably the scariest looking pigs
Oh my gosh.
on the planet, and certainly not creatures that we ever intended to actually film.
Yeah.
Going to Borneo. They were not on our radar at all. Do you guys remember first sighting of the bearded pig?
I do. I also remember.
I remember the first time we Googled images. We're like, oh my God.
We were like,
what is
those
that?
are out in the jungle there? and
they're everywhere.
Our guide was like, yeah. And we were like, do you think we'll actually see one of those? And he was like, yeah.
Yeah, I can see a lot of them.
Yeah.
And you need to avoid them. They were very they loved to bring us really close to vipers and all the different creepy crawlies that lived in this in Bako National. Is it Bako or Bako?
I think it's Bako.
Bako National Park. Beautiful park, amazing park in Borneo, on the Malaysian side where we were. Home to the Proboscis monkey. It's not the only place you can see them in Borneo, but they are endemic to Borneo. So if you ever wanted to see a proboscis monkey, this is the place. And that's what brought us to the park. But, they were like, let's find everything except stand clear of the pigs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that made me edgy the whole time.
Yes. Our perception of wild pigs and hogs in the United States is they're actually very dangerous.
They're very dangerous.
Yeah.
So let's
and aggressive.
Yeah.
Let's start by showing people what a proboscis monkey looks like and why we would want to.
They're so goofy.
Yeah, let's zoom in a little bit. There we go. That's the classic right
oh my
there.
God, you're gonna blur that out.
Yeah, I know. Who doesn't want to go looking for that? So you could see why they are such a renowned. I was going to say endowed, renowned
Whoa, hey.
primate. I mean, the males have the weirdest nose out of any.
And
primates. Any nose.
I loved this fact about them is the larger the nose was like better for mating. Like it showed them as being a more dominant male.
Size matters is what you're saying. Oh yeah. Usually true. So these monkeys are fairly common in Baco National Park, and they're very hard to film, as it turns out.
They're common, but they gave us a good runaround.
Yep.
Yeah, they're not. It's not like a petting zoo. This is, people sometimes think, finding exotic wildlife is easy for us, and it's definitely not always the case. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it is. I won't lie. There are times where it's like the stuff you're looking for is literally everywhere, and you can't miss it if you're there in the right season. But sometimes what you think should be slam dunk ends up running you around the park for multiple days, because we went back twice for this. And you guys remember the first day looking for the proboscis monkey?
Yeah.
It was hot.
It was super hot. It's really muggy. I have to say, this was one of the coolest environments I think we've ever shot in as a group. Like the whole boat ride out there off like the dock from the fishing village over to like this almost like eco lodge they have set up on this island.
Yeah.
Or it's a peninsula, but you can only get there by boat, I think, for some reason.
You can't swim there. You wouldn't want to either, because there are definitely saltwater crocodiles. Oh, which, by the way, tangent. Did you guys see that video where they showed the crocodile in this river that we were crossing, imitating a child drowning?
Yep.
You guys seen this?
Yeah.
We have to bring this
Super
up.
scary, actually. Like the little arms.
They know they have like hands that have like and like little like kind of doughy arms.
Yeah.
Man, it really does. They're evolving.
Here it is. Yeah.
Crocodiles.
So look at this. Here, I'm going to kill the audio. I don't know if we can use this or not, but I got to show you. Look at that. So this is exactly the river that we were having to cross. Yes, this is it. This is it.
And I remember when we talked to our local guide, he actually grew up in this village, but he was saying that they didn't used to have crocodiles. It used to be safe to swim in there.
Dude, let's try to find the picture just
the
so we
silhouette of the hands is crazy.
Yeah, like look at this. This is from Lad Bible. They've ripped off enough of our stuff, so I think we can show them. And there are a lot of children that live in that village. I would describe Borneo as somewhat industrialized. Like there are definitely cities, but most of the rural areas are very much like just small villages, and people still, farm, and they rely on fishing and all the things that you need out of that river. So inevitably there are children on that river. So these crocodiles have figured out, if you act like a child, some adult may swim out to help you, and you can eat them. That's insane.
It's terrifying.
That is so wild.
Imagine being the first guy to just jump in and then be like, oh my God.
True river monsters.
Yeah, that's really scary.
Yeah. So I couldn't, I made a mental note when I first saw something. If we ever talk about this video, that's the wildest like behavior I've ever seen from a crocodilian. Like, crocodilians are typically ambush predators. This is like they're baiting them in, luring them in.
Strategic, yeah.
They're evolving. Okay. Anyway, that doesn't send chills down your spine. I don't know what was. Oh, maybe a monkey nose.
Oh.
So we're looking for these proboscis monkeys on first day. It was really hard. We went all over that park.
Yep.
For many, many hours, and we saw some monkeys, but we didn't get very close.
They were really high up in the canopy, and they were really moving around quite a bit.
They also weren't dominant male with as such exactly what you want. Like we were going for the photogenic one. I mean, they're still cool looking, but they aren't quite.
Even if they were, we couldn't tell because they were just moving around.
That's the shot right there. That's what you're looking for. Let me see if I can find the female just to show. They're still cool.
Yeah.
But it's not like the iconic creature.
Apparently they're great swimmers too.
Amazing swimmers. So here's a female. And it's
kind of more pointed.
I said that like I'm disappointed. They're still cool.
Kind of
look
very
cool primate.
like a Who from Whoville.
Yeah.
That
Their nose is still strange. Yeah. I mean, that is not normal. But you're there to find the male, and usually there's only like one or two males in a troop, and usually there's only one dominant male. And every time we got to a troop, they were already leaving us. So getting the shot of that was actually really, really hard. And amongst circling the island, we saw all kinds of stuff. We saw viper, many vipers. We saw spiders. What else did we see?
A lot of lizards.
Right? They had the monitor lizards there.
Yeah.
We saw some sort of like weird, what was it? Like a flying squirrel or something? The one that thing was like matted to a tree.
What was it? It wasn't a loris, was it?
No, it was. It wasn't a loris. It was.
It's like some kind of possum.
It was like matted to the tree.
It was like a Borneo possum or something.
I think this thing had wings.
Flying. It was like a flying possum. It was like a flying squirrel.
Yeah,
but it wasn't a
flying
squirrel.
It was much larger than what you would expect.
It was this thing, flying lemur.
Yes, that's what it was.
It was that. Oh my gosh, I remember that now.
There's almost an go down.
The shot of it wasn't great because it was just
right
this
there.
big brown lump.
It was like this.
Yes, exactly like that.
It was like this. Flying lemur.
That was pretty cool.
If we had more time, we probably would have filmed the whole video and we would know a whole lot more about them, including their name. But it was cool. Good memory. That was good. But it was a very remote island. Like if you ever go to Borneo, like plan on a full day. Like you have to take the boat across the crocodile-filled river around to this like peninsula. It's not an island, it's a peninsula. And you actually have to get off the boat in the water. There's no dock.
Got to go run to shore.
Yeah. And that there's something about having to make like an amphibious landing on a place that makes it feel that much more remote.
Instantly it's up leveled.
I felt like it felt like something out of the pirate days of like classic, like there could be treasure on that island. Yeah, like the whole look of it too. There was huge like stone cliffs and like the jungle right off like the white sand beach, and then cool wetlands and all these different kind of like wooden bridges and things you were crossing.
Yeah, it was like Swiss Family Robinson vibes. But at this point in the trip, I had been stung to bejesus by countless terrifying things. There's still some coming. I think there's still that giant scorpion is still coming.
Still got that.
But, it had been the centipede, giant ant. What else had I gotten done by? Other scorpions, giant honeybee.
Banded hornet.
Largest biting ant.
Carpenter bees. Like I had gone through it, my poor arms. I was just relieved that it was just going to be like a physical hike and not like getting bitten or stung. But it was way more intense than even I expected. I thought we would just get off this boat and it's like monkeys. Because we did see orangutans prior to that. And granted, I don't want to cast shade on the orangutan experience. Like if you want to go see an orangutan orangutan. I always say tang. I grew up saying tang, so I'm going to stick with it. Orangutan, if you want to go see one in Borneo, there are easy ways to do it. But for us, that was a little bit of a letdown. It was like you get taken up on a golf cart and like, here's your orangutan.
It's feeding time.
And they are wild, but they come in to feed, and just wasn't great for a video. Probably why we won't.
Not quite the level of brave wilderness wildness that
we'll go back and we'll do a proper like into the jungle orangutan production. But the proboscis monkeys were not that. They were way more intense. So we come back on day 2, and we at this point had been very good at avoiding these bearded pigs. We had gotten glimpses of them. We would like see them on a boardwalk and be like, stay with it. Going that way now. But where we had to film the proboscis monkey ended up being like right in their camp. So there's all these barracks. You guys want to describe what the place looked like? The park headquarters?
Yeah, it was sort of this like big like stucco building, and it was really I'm not sure if it was like their on season or not, but there was definitely some like fellow eco-tourists there, but it was pretty sparse. There was definitely more accommodations than there were people there, for sure. It was
it's like
kind of had like I feel like it's a common theme with some of the places we stay, but it's kind of like a post-apocalyptic vibe. Like a lot of accommodations, not a lot of people. So it's pretty remote feeling still, even though we were like amongst all the buildings.
Like if humanity had a massive fallout,
great place.
It was a great place to escape. Yeah. But they had stuff. There was like barracks. I call them like barracks.
Yeah, I mean they were like one. They were kind of bungalows of like all one story.
Did you see in some
row
of them?
houses?
Yeah, some of them they're just cots.
Yeah,
almost like they were camps.
Yeah. You could like roll in there with your sleeping bag and like your provisions, and they did have like
one park ranger working there. Like that would be your quick overnight.
They had one slightly larger main building that had like information and a small like like daily cafe where they would have meals for people that were staying there.
Yeah, and it was nice.
Like, I would go back. I thought it was very cool.
Oh, I will definitely go back. And, once we finally found the proboscis monkeys in camp, that's sort of where this all turns. We want to pull up the video real fast and we can kind of relive this a bit. Look at that.
I love how its
Like,
eyes slightly lazy.
Yeah, they're both just kind of like pointed in a slightly different direction.
Wilder.
Unclear who it's sizing up.
I mean,
that's a mug.
imagine having no warning and you're like just walking through the woods and you see that.
And it's wants you.
Yeah, and they're very intimidating, these pigs. And most of the time they're staying in the brush. Like, they don't like people. They're not like getting fed. I mean, I'm sure people feed them. Don't do that. Like, if you ever go to Borneo or anywhere with like pigs, that is the best way to get into a bad situation with a pig, is to start feeding it and then getting between it and what it thinks is food. Bad news. Never feed wildlife. But just to look at them, and there's always little piglets running around. So, like mama and dada are not too far behind.
Yeah. They're on high alert too. Anytime you see a young, and you probably want to stay away.
Right.
Especially with mammals. Anytime you're near young mammals, you're like, this is more dangerous than it looks.
Yeah.
So here's a proboscis monkey filming that. Let's watch a little bit of this. Of primate. So if there was ever like a monkey Olympics, the proboscis monkey would be winning all the swimming competitions. Oh yeah. That's a good. You started to bring that up, Asa. So these monkeys are semi-aquatic. They like to swim. And they have webbed fingers and toes. So that's what I was alluding to there. If there's ever an Olympics for monkeys, they would win all the swimming contests.
Yeah.
And
go diving too, right? They're good at diving.
Yeah. We didn't see them swimming, but I'm sure there are photographs. Pull the photo.
They were saying that like that was one of the first places we were actually sent to as like this is a good spot to probably track them down, is actually on the edge of the beach.
Yeah, we were like
they might be
in like
there.
intertidal mangrove things.
Yeah, so here we go. Here's a bunch of them swimming. And they swim because they like the mangroves. That is where they predominantly live. But because of all the food and I'm sure just protection around those camps. Oh no, I lost it. Around those camps, that's why they're hanging out by these barracks. Look at that. You can almost use that nose as a snorkel. It would be so cool if it like floated or like stuck up out of the water. They haven't evolved that yet, but oh man, look at that. So cool. All right. Back to the video. Keep delaying the bearded. People came here for bearded pigs. And they're like, get to the pigs. So we're filming this great male proboscis. Oh, there's Augie. Skip through that. And then we're like walking back to where you described that headquarters. And that's when this happens. We get sort of entrenched around all these pigs. You can see like there's these big family, lots of, and those are like juveniles, like, but they're not tiny pigs. You don't like look at that and like, ooh, that's a baby. You look at it like that's a small pig. So they didn't immediately like throw a red flag for me, but they were juveniles.
Just storming me.
Yeah. And we kind of get into this. There's a little retention. I don't know what you call that. Little waste water canal. And then this little pig comes up as we're filming them. Because at this point we're done. We're like, hey,
got the proboscis monkey.
Let's get some footage of these pigs if they're going to be this close.
That was a big boy.
Yeah.
Cute.
Oh God, look at that nose, man.
Yeah.
Like that's the one thing about hogs that really freak me out. It's not so much that they're just like they're very big, powerful animals. It's just they look gnarly. And these pigs, specifically with that crazy like grizzled hair and that nose, just
this is one of the more like honestly less intimidating looking ones. I mean, this one's really, really large, but like the one that we had the main encounter with was definitely the most intimidating. That's a big animal.
So you can see they're pretty much all around us, and this is where we get surrounded. Oh, look at those eyes. Let's play this out. And almost right away, we were sandwiched between the mom and a massive boar.
That's the female. The male's right
That's
here.
them snorting.
Turn the cameras around, real slow. Real slow.
Look at that. Sizing
Oh my
me up.
gosh.
It was staring me down.
It
Terrifying.
was really
Yeah.
getting this footage. I was like, this thing looks scary.
Yeah. And we were pretty much pinned up against a wall. So it was like, if
Yeah.
he really chose to charge, you're
Yeah.
just going to be up against.
I mentioned
Like,
that in
yeah.
the interview for the video.
Like-
Is like that pig could have been on you like that.
Mhm.
It would have taken no time.
Yeah.
We would definitely not be able to outrun these pigs.
No.
There's
No.
no way. And oh, look at that. Look, you can kind of see the teeth. Like if
Oh.
that pig bit you, can you
Ugh.
imagine what lives in like the bacterial infection, just the savage damage that it would do to you. Would not be good. And I had
It's crazy. It's always more. There's always something creepy about an animal that has like light color irises, where it's just like so clear what it's looking
Yeah.
at.
The
this
scraggly
case.
hairs on its face, too, really give it like almost a mask. Like, it's really freaky looking.
it's really unsettling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really unsettling. And dude,
Oh God.
it just gets worse.
Yeah.
It just gets worse and worse. And I wouldn't say that was like the biggest pig on record, but that pig was easily over 200 pounds.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
definitely.
It was a big, big boar. And it was so confident and just deliberate in the way that it stared you down.
Single.
You knew if it switched, if it flipped, you're done.
Yeah.
You're toast. And this is a moment where, like, I'm trying to get this clip. I'm selfieing with the GoPro there, but you guys are also pinned in too.
All those shots are us.
Yeah. So we're like
So we're at
surrounded on all sides.
Yeah, we're at the corner of this house, this house
Here.
structure thing. Yeah, and she's coming down, kind of like sandwiching us between her and the boar, and then she ultimately slides through.
Yeah, we made some space for her because she was kind of grunting and stuff, I remember.
I was strategically placing my backpacks just so I could like chuck something between me.
What do you think about that? Look how it turned at you.
Yeah,
right?
this was-
And
It was so close to. I was like, okay, yes,
Yeah,
it's just
yeah,
going.
let's
It's
go
going
through.
away. It's like we're getting great shots, but it's going away from us, which is, I thought that situation was good. And then it just
Yeah, all of a sudden turn around and then I
stops and turns right at us.
yeah. I remember like I just was standing there and I was looking at you and you were just like, don't move.
so this video made I don't usually get this reaction when I see cuts of our videos, but this one made my stomach queasy watching this back. I remember how tense
Yeah.
the moment was.
God,
I was trying to draw its attention away from you guys. I was like, I don't want that pig getting closer. And then the boar came out. I mean, are you kidding me? Oh my goodness.
it was pretty wild to see. Like
Yeah.
he was clearly communicating to her.
Yeah.
Like definitely some serious mammalian intelligence going on.
He's calling the female back.
And they're just so prehistoric looking. They just don't look.
Stay calm.
In this moment, I'm like,
Thank you. Wow. That's exactly how it felt. I feel like this is a really authentic video because it really captures the intensity and that the tension of what it's like to be in an unplanned wildlife encounter. And that is not something we typically put ourselves into. Almost always we're the hunters. We're the ones pursuing the animals. Very rarely do we find ourselves like this.
yeah, we were definitely we were on their turf, that's for sure.
And we didn't have a lot of information. Like we did not plan to go searching for these pigs. It was just warned to us all right, that's the end of the video. So if you haven't seen the video, link in the description, definitely go check it out. But we did not plan this. And so we knew very little, only that we should avoid the encounter. But it happened anyway. after we found out, like what it was really like to be in the encounter, we did some more homework, and very few people have actually been attacked by these pigs. They're not as aggressive as like an American boar, which will savage you for sure.
Yeah, they were.
Turns out they're actually, I wouldn't say nice, but they're
more easygoing than
a
feral
you'd probably
hog.
have to irritate it more or make
grab a piglet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
do something that would cause it.
Or feed it.
Yeah,
I mean, I could
feed-
see you like having like food or feeding it something from your bag, and then all of a sudden it locks onto your bag,
Yeah.
and then you try to run away, and it's chasing you, and it's gonna try to take that bag.
Yeah, it's almost like the female was kind of expecting like a handout.
That's
like,
what I think.
Like it would kind of just stared at us for
She
like a
turned
couple
around.
seconds. Was like, "Are you gonna got any food?"
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely not. Do not feed them.
In that moment though, the initial turnaround when she was like looking at us, I was just like, oh god damn.
She went out of her way to do it.
Yeah.
She was facing the woods, going back in, and then she was like,
hard 180. I love the boar coming out though, and his like power stance for a moment.
"Who's like,
Something about the nose. It's the beard and the nose, and just bear pig. That's just I'm like, it's a bear, it's a pig, it's a bear pig. If they were named Bear Pig, you would be like, yeah, okay, got it. And
It's crazy that like the beard ends and then just the pink nose just shoots out of it. That is just an extra layer of
so strange.
gnarly.
so I want to talk about the moment of bravery from this one. Who wants to go first? Asa, why don't you talk about the moment of bravery here? Have you ever been in a situation like this?
No. This actually, post doing this, literally 2 months after, I was in Spain and
You ate pig.
yeah, I did. I ate a lot of pig actually. But we were in a small village, and a group of wild like boars came into the village with young, and I was on a little cobblestone street, and they came around the corner at night, and it was just me and these pigs on the street, and I literally was like, here we go again. Are you kidding me?
Round 2.
But I ran inside a place, and I was like, these ones like way more pissed this time around. But this prepared me for it.
It did.
So the moment of bravery, not freaking out when they turned around and we were pinned against the wall. Honestly, you were good in that moment of being like, guys, like, stay calm, don't move. Because I think if you flinched and you kind of created a weird, and they move, and then the male gets freaked out, and it can really change the situation
100%.
if somebody freaks out.
So make no mistake about it. Like if you were surrounded by tigers, way more intimidating than what this is. It's definitely not the most intense wildlife encounter ever. I mean, like I would have to go to like mountain gorillas, or like even like when those bull elephants were fighting between coyote and I, like stuff like that trumps this moment. But it's still edgy. And especially with an animal that you don't know its temperament, which none of us did. And the only thing that, so I'll go to my moment of bravery is remembering the basics of wildlife encounters, which is, if you don't know what to do, because sometimes you should run. There are definitely times when you should run. There are times where you should act intimidating and try to establish dominance. And then if you don't know which one of those, because if you choose the wrong one, if you run when it's not the right time to run, like grizzly bear, bad, like very bad. So if you don't know, the best thing you do is remain still and calm and just hope that the moment washes over you and passes you by. So that's why I was like, hey guys, let's remain calm. So like my moment of bravery was just being like, oh gosh, I hope we're not supposed to back away slowly, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. I'm pretty sure, I was 99% sure, stay calm.
I feel like when in doubt, that one's probably the safest option.
Definitely.
Back away.
Yeah.
Back away.
No one can fault you for that. So I always, your safety is like, it's my concern, right? Like I'm looking after the team as much as I'm looking after myself. So I'm like, man, I'm pretty sure just chill and stay put is the way to go. And I'm glad that was correct. Andrew?
Oh, it was absolutely the same for me. But I think like what really made the situation so unnerving was we just didn't know enough about this animal. So there was no protocol. Like there was nothing, there was no objective to aim for. Like, oh, we got to get into a situation where we can back away slow. It was just like just guessing.
Yeah, totally. Like you don't like a lot of times. Depending on the sex of the animal will dictate like how aggressive they are. Sometimes it's the males are more aggressive. Sometimes the females. We had nothing, like blank slate. Our guide the park ranger who we were with was not with us in this moment.
Yep.
Because after we filmed the Proboscis, it was like, let's wrap it up. And we're like, look, get a shot of these pigs. And then boom, surrounded. It happens so fast.
It did.
That is something that never ceases to amaze me, like how quickly a moment can go from like almost like mundane to being like super intense like this, like in a millisecond out of nowhere, because they're so cryptic. We didn't even know they were there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they really blended in too. Like I think there's a couple shots in the video where they're like, you can tell they are barely like just off the path, but you can hardly see them. They just disappear right into the jungle.
Well, we were also filming, I remember, more of the piglets at first and kind of like following them a little bit, getting some cool like pickup shots for the video, and then it was like, all right, there's the mother, but that big guy came out later on.
Like if there weren't eyes and a face to kind of like lock in on, like it'd be really blends into his environment pretty darn well.
Yeah, like look at how dark the floor is and how it blends in with that nose, and then the bright, you get flashes off the leaves.
Yeah,
that's where that white.
Yeah, really uncanny. That was kind of like the elephant that we saw too in Thailand. Like as soon as they stepped off the road, you're like,
oh yeah, like really blend in.
How are you gonna sneak up on an elephant? Like how are you gonna accidentally stumble upon one in the woods? And it's like as soon as they step off the road and go into the brush, it's like, oh, yeah, that's how.
Yeah, you're going to hear them before you see them.
Yeah.
And that's same with the pigs. You hear them grunting. It's spooky.
Yeah, they had a very deep guttural grunt.
Oh, man. Borneo. Would you say this was the last video we shot in Borneo? Would you say that this was your favorite memory of the trip, or is there anything about Borneo that sort of stood out to you as being more intense than this?
This one, I remember this moment most vividly. Like I remember all the particulars about it, like down to really minute details, like what was in what hand and everything. So I think for me, this was definitely like the most memorable moment of the trip.
Gosh, I don't know. Borneo was such like a fun adventure as a whole. Like there was a lot of variety in what we did and the environment change. I really liked this environment and
I think there's a lot left.
Yeah, there is. I feel like there's a lot of stinging insects out there that are potentially undescribed.
Yeah.
If you went out there with a butterfly net and just swung at everything, like you would catch some crazy stuff, I'm sure.
Asia is the new frontier for us at Brave Wilderness. I feel like we've done a really good job at this point, obviously in North America, Central America. I mean, been to Costa Rica almost 24 times at this point. It feels like our home away from home. South America is starting to happen. We have some trips coming up to South America this year, which I'm pretty pumped about. But Asia just seems so exotic. You know, we've done a lot of Australia too. So like Asia's like this new canvas for us. And every time we go, especially like on a trip like this, everything's on the menu. So I definitely left this trip ready to go back because I was like, oh man, everything we saw was brand new and we didn't even have to like search that hard. And then there were certain things that we learned about, like different monitor species, different snake species that I really want to go back for.
It almost feels endless in terms of like how many new things you can discover. Cause I mean, like I can't think of a time when we were just getting more random shots of like animals than there. Like every turn we took, there was something new,
to film,
like a different, really weird insect. Like we probably filmed 10 different types of like stick insects while we were there. And like most of them haven't even made the cut.
No, we still have like a couple videos left. I mean, how many videos did we shoot on that trip? Was it at least 18. A dozen? 18? Could be.
I think it was like 18.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
It was a 3-week trip. I mean, we really went for it. Credit to Max and Lockie, our guys from Australian Wildlife Encounters who joined us on the expedition. Those guys are amazing. They really help not only like keep us on the move because those guys are tough to track down when they're on it, but they find the stuff for us and they help us out a lot. Especially the locations and like all the fixers, and you know, working with them is always really fun. So credit to Max and Lockie for making a lot of these videos happen. But man, bearded pig, maybe the all-star. I'm curious to see what the audience thinks of this video. Like, are they going to see it as, oh, that looks like a pig from a petting zoo and I'm not that impressed, or are people going to vibe with what we're saying and like, oh my gosh, scariest pig, scariest creature you'd ever want to see coming out of the rainforest, staring you down. Look at that. Oh my gosh, look at that.
I mean, that I hope that mug sells it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, right there.
Imagine that at night too. You go out, you're like, I gotta go to the bathroom at one of these camps, and that guy's like standing in the woods looking at you.
Waiting for you.
Yeah.
That was awesome, guys. Thanks for, reliving that memory, unpacking that memory. I hope everyone who saw the video appreciated that conversation, is liking the podcast. But we do have a little bit of a favor to ask for everyone who's listening to this podcast, which is we'd like for you to submit comments that we can answer on future podcast episodes. We want to start having an end of the episode Q&A session with you, the audience, everyone listening and enjoying these. And the way you do that is by going to any of the Becoming Brave podcast videos and asking questions. We really want to pick the best questions. Instead of having you like send into an email or fill out a form online, we're just going to scour the comments from the podcast weekly, and we'll pick the best like 2 to 3 questions that we can then talk about on the podcast, and you will get credit for asking the question. So if you're listening to this right now, or watching this rather, consider asking a question for future videos. We'd like to interact more with all of you because it's all of you really that make all of this possible. So with that, I want to thank everyone for listening to this reliving of the bearded pig adventure from Borneo. Thank you to Andrew and Asa for joining once again. I'm having a blast doing these podcasts, and I'm very much looking forward to the next one. So with that, I'm Mark Vins, and this is the Becoming Brave podcast. We'll see you next time.